Alright, Speedsters, so we've just got our first little teaser, if you will, of the Flash Season 6's villain. So I want to go over this and give my take on what could be happening next season, because this is something I definitely want to talk about. I mean, come on, it's the main villain of the next season. How's it going, Speedsters? Welcome to a brand new Flash Season 6 video, I guess you would call this. And this is just more of a thoughts and opinions video, and just me giving my thoughts on what the heck is going on with next year's or next season's villain. Are we going back to a speedster villain? Are we going back to a speedster-esque villain? And you know what I mean by that is, for example, could it be Cobalt Blue-esque? Or could it be another non-speedster, which as much as I think they can do those villains, I think it's unlikely at this point. But anyway, this information comes from a rumor, to be honest, that TV Line posted. So I'll get this up now. Actually, the article that I've got up right away is comicbook.com, but really they've just recycled what TV Line says. So their headline is The Flash First Details on Season 6's Big Bad Revealed, which, you know, I find it interesting. I mean, of course, loads of places going to run with, I mean, I guess this title is going to be some kind of buzzwordy, because, you know, it is our first kind of information on it, but really, TV Line explicitly say rumor. But, you know, the TV Line is a very reputable, creditable source when it comes to, at least from what I've experienced in the past with CW shows. So what they say is The Flash is still barely into its summer hiatus, but we have the very first details surrounding the show's full return. A new report for TV Line reveals that the Flash Season 6 will be bringing in a new male Big Bad, and the show is reportedly seeking diverse actors for the part. Fair enough. There's no exactly telling who the Big Bad could be, as there wasn't really a super concrete tease for a particular villain in the Season 5 finale. Now, I somewhat agree and disagree with that. They go on to say some have speculated that it could be Evan McCulloch or Mirror Master, whose mirror gun technology was factored. Yeah, so just cutting this for a second, it doesn't have to be teased right in the finale for them to be inferring that, oh, this you know, a villain could be coming next season. Look at the Flash Season 3. I'm pretty sure, I mean, completely correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the teasers were before the finale. For example, with Abracadabra saying DeVoe and a line of villains that included Zoom, Savitar, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I mean with regards to Red Death, because I think, and I'm by far saying, you know, I'm not saying this is concrete facts, but like Red Death is the most likely in my mind, just because the only one, apart from, yeah, if you look into the fact that they were doing a few things with the mirror dimension, or like the mirror gun, sending in the satellite core there and stuff like that, a lot of people have come to the opinion that, oh, they might do more things with a Mirror Master, right? But I think, you know, yeah, you could read into that. I'm not discounting that at all. Anything is possible, because right now we don't know anything, because there's not been a San Diego Comic-Con, and it's just stuff like this. And as I said, as TV Line put on their website themselves, you know, I'm going to probably get it up on screen now. It's literally one teeny little 3 lines saying, The Flash, Season 6 will introduce a new male Big Bad, and rumor has it producers are eyeing diverse actors for the part. So really nothing to go off. But, you know, I thought this was an opportunity for me to give my thoughts on what we know so far. So yeah, Red Death, he is literally, as far as I'm aware, as I just said, unless you're reading into the mirrory stuff that they explored a little bit more with the fact that how much that contributed to the destruction of Cicada's dagger and stuff, Red Death was the only spoken word. Now, I honestly can't remember which specific episode it was, whether it was 14, 15, 13, 14, I don't know, when Nora goes in Grace's mind. And that's when, you know, Barry and Iris go in her mind as well, so they're in her mindscape. We realize in this episode that the Reverse Flash is kind of, because in each mindscape, if you will, there's like a self-defense mechanism, and this was our kind of official, I guess you could say, in terms of how it should have been spelled out to the characters quite obviously. I mean, it was to Sherlock that the Reverse Flash was Nora's protective avatar, if you will, of her mind, and this was spelled out to Sherlock because he asked, oh, so who was Nora's? And Barry's like, Thorn, or like the Reverse Flash, and he was like, oh, but really, you know, obviously Sherlock had to collect his evidence a lot more up from that point. But this isn't what this video is about. The point I'm on about in this scene is the fact that on that little pedestal that Mini Nora was looking at, we had a Captain Singh who was, you know, well into the future of his new rank that he got announced at the end of the previous season. And he says the Red Death, like even worse than the Red Death or something like that. I'm paraphrasing the lines here, but this teased within myself, and naturally this sparks so many theories out there, as it should, because this is very plausible that this could be inferring that the next season villain is the Red Death. And I just am still convinced that that is the most likely option. I'm not decreeing that that's the case. I'm just saying the fact that you get a very similar kind of scene to what Abracadabra did. It wasn't as obvious as what Abracadabra did, but it kind of was. Do you know what I mean? Abracadabra was like Thorn, Zoom, Saboteur, blah, 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 DeVoe. You just have to think that the Flash writers and the show wouldn't have dropped that in there. They wouldn't have dropped in a future villain that Barry has faced by the time this Captain Singh has reached that age and had this like video in the Flash Museum. They wouldn't have dropped that villain for him to not come up in the show's future. So, you know, just judging by the fact that this is season 6 now, and I think that, you know, I agree with a lot of other people that the Reverse Flash would be a good ending kind of villain, even though at the same time I think they might not do that because they've already done him, but at the same time it would be amazing, but that's a whole other video. I don't think he should be, obviously, the season 6 villain. I know a lot of people are hopping on board with saying, like, oh, younger Thorn or something like that, or Thorn has escaped by the end of the season, why wouldn't he be the next season's villain? Best till last, honestly. So going back to the point here, Cicada's defeated, DeVoe's defeated, the Thinker is, well, same person. Zoom is defeated, but people like Species can somewhat come back in how they have before. Like even in season 5, Zoom kind of did through the time travel aspect. Thorn can always come back, but as I said, best till last. But who is left in that run-up? The Red Death. So I don't know, man. I just think that it has to be. Now, obviously, guys, as I always say, adaptations from comics are not always copy and pasted into TV, live action adaptations, and this couldn't be more of a perfect personification of that, the fact that we're obviously not going to get a Bruce Wayne Red Death mixed with Barry Allen combination. So I think they have an opportunity here with the Red Death, if they do it, to bring us a really good story, since they're not going to clone the comic book material. They may do it in the sense that somehow it merges with Barry's speed or something like that, in an offshoot branch gets created with his story, but either way, it's not going to be a Bruce Wayne, you know, the Dark Knight Metal kind of variation of this. It's just not. I think we all know that. And before anyone comments it, because I have seen comments like it before, but Bruce Wayne went missing in the Arrowverse. What if they still do it? It's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do Oliver Queen as it as well. I've seen all these theories out there because Oliver, you know, likely dying in Crisis and all that. They're not gonna make him the Red Death for season 6. No, it's not gonna happen. But something else kind of cool that comicbook.com included in this article was that they actually got a quote from Todd Helbing, the previous showrunner, because we're getting a new one, which is you know, both. Like, I really like Todd from the beginning, but I'm also very excited for new avenues with a new showrunner. So Red Death is pretty big. Outgoing showrunner Todd Helbing told comicbook.com earlier this year. So I think you can tell the bigger characters when we talk about them that we don't just do that as a one-off little Easter egg. We give them a little bit more like, oh man, these people might be coming in the future, Helbing said, acknowledging that it's a tricky thing with DC. We always need to talk to them in the planning. There's many facets to it, but there are always ways that we can see and try to make things work. There's one particularly tricky. No, that one's particularly tricky, but I would never say never. So this is very interesting because he basically is saying to everyone, we would have included that unless we didn't plan or have some idea to plan this into the show. But he also words it intelligently in the sense of, as if it probably might not be coming next season, because it's like, oh, I don't know, it's a particularly tricky one, but, you know, never say never. We always need to talk to DC in the planning. So Red Death, like, we definitely dropped him because we might want to do him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the Flash season 6's villain. So take that as you will. That could be, as I said, it could be the fact that, like, low-key he is, but they also said, like, Red Death is a tricky one, so, like, we want to do him, as I just said, but it might not be next season's villain when really he is. That is going to be very interesting to see. But I really hope it is. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's obvious. I was about to say it's obvious, but like, I think it is somewhat very likely that they're going to go back to a Speedster-esque villain for Barry. So when I say Speedster-esque, whether we get a Speedster or not, or whether it's Cobalt Blue or something like that, I think they're going to do something that rivals Barry in that way, rather than what the Thinker did with his intelligence, rather than what Cicada did with the OP brute force of his dagger and his just being. I think they're going to go back to speed in one way or another. So if it's not the Red Death actually having speedster powers, I would like it to be somehow Cobalt Blue. The thing is, what I'm worried about with that is that ship's kind of sailed. As much as we've all wanted that to be Eddie, I think that would have been really cool, but I just feel like that might not happen. I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense for the character. I mean, obviously you could say, you know, if he comes back, he might view things differently from the way things ended out of season 1. But I just wouldn't buy that as a fan. Like, there would have to be some weird corruption in his mind for me to believe that he just went, screw this, I'm gonna go full out evil. It just wouldn't. It would be too comic book logic, if that makes sense, for them to portray that. So the only way that I would believe it is if, you know, Crisis does something so big that, you know, maybe if they were to bring Eddie back as Cobalt Blue, then maybe it would be believable that it changed the guy himself. But then that would have bigger ripple effects, you know, on the past seasons. But who am I kidding? There's loads of plot holes that don't add up. So, you know, I think Red Death is more likely than Cobalt Blue, but either way, I'd be so down for an iteration of Cobalt, even if it's not Eddie. I definitely think they can do it, given the fact that, you know, one of his abilities is to steal powers in a Godspeed-esque way. You know, he can get Barry's speed that way. So mixed with other abilities as well, I think, you know, arguably Cobalt Blue would be a much more interesting villain to explore than, I guess, a blank canvas Red Death. I say blank canvas because of what I said earlier and how they're obviously not going to do Bruce Wayne. So, you know, they're both almost blank canvassy, because if they don't do Eddie, like, these are two characters they can really change and alter the origins of for season 6. So I think we've got a good future ahead in The Flash, given if other changes happen as well, because there's other improvements that need to be made. But let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. Who do you want to be next season's villain? Red Death, Mirror Master, or Cobalt Blue? Or, like, you know, when I say these, not exactly comic book accurate 100%, but like Flash TV show iterations. Which one would you like it to be? Obviously, Mirror Master can be a lot more comic book accurate over Red Death and Cobalt. But yeah, I would love to know who you think. Other than that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, as it really does show your support for the channel. Subscribe if you want to see more Flash content like this. Leave some suggestions down in the comments below for any discussions or ideas or topics that you want me to cover. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you speedsters in the next video. Goodbye.